Okay, welcome to Lesson 3. In this lesson, we're going to talk about what we need to do if we need to renumber these blocks, because our target PLC is already using some or all of these blocks and it's going to have conflicts, or we don't want to use these block numbers in our target PLC because they might be reserved for some other purpose. So first thing I like to do is give myself a working station or area. So I'm going to create a new little working station for this task. You don't have to do that step, it's just a personal preference. Now, the first step in renumbering these blocks is opening, it's called generating source. So the way you do that is you open a block and you can choose generate source. And let's give our source file a name. Just call it FIS source. And that's going to ask us what blocks we want to generate a source file for. Let's just choose them all. And the only one we don't need is OB1. All the rest of these you see from standard template number 1492 all the way up to, I think our highest number is 1611 here. It's the standard template block range is from 1492 to 1611. But these are all the ones we want to generate a source file for. Make sure you have symbolic set down here. And this over here looks okay. Hit OK. It's telling me function block 1501 is already opened, which is okay. Just hit yes. You see down here it tells us the source was generated successfully. And you can see that file under sources. It looks like this. Okay. Now comes the part where we have to decide what we want our new block numbers to be. If your function blocks can't go in 1500 and have to go in the 2000s, or your functions can't go in the 1500s, they have to go in maybe the 600s or something like that, we need to determine what each one of these needs to be renumbered to. For this example, we're just going to add 1000 to all of these to make it easy. So to do that, you come to your symbol table, and change the numbers in here. We're just going to add 1000 to all of these. Remember, if you have instance data blocks, to update the reference function block in this other column here too. Okay, we've changed all of our block numbers to what we want them to be now. And you see here, because we modified our symbol table, we lost the symbols for these old block numbers. We're going to delete all these old blocks now. We're going to leave AGSend. We're going to talk about AGSend in a minute. It's a system function. The standard Siemens number for this is FC5. However, FC5 may already be used in your target application, but we're not going to renumber it at this time. We're gonna do that in a minute here. For now, let's just delete all these old blocks. Okay. Now comes the magic. First of all, before we recompile, important thing you want to check here is in your program, go to under blocks, go to object properties and go to this address priority and make sure it's on this symbol mode. Well, these symbol modes down here, not on absolute. Make sure you do that first. Then what we'll do is we'll generate all our blocks with our new block numbers. You do that by choosing compile on your source. It'll go through. It shouldn't have any errors if you've done everything right to this point. There's 3 warnings. It tells us about using address register 2. That's fine. Those warnings are okay. Now if we come over here to our blocks, we'll see we have them in here now with all the new block numbers. Now, if FC5 is available or it is already used for AG send for the same purpose in your target PLC, you don't have anything else to do at this point, you can copy these into your target PLC. You're done. However, if FC5 is already used, we need to renumber this one. It's a system function, so it's treated a little differently. So what we're going to do is we're going to call it 1495. You see here, or 2495 rather. You see here we have 2492 for our RTO. We'll just make this guy. We'll make him 2495. See, we lost our symbol. So we'll come over here. Update our symbol table for that AG send. And there. Now we have to update the one place where this AG send is used because we just changed its number. And it's used in this multi-send driver. Normally a block you would not have to open or modify, but because we changed the AG send, we're going to have to open up this multi-send driver block. Tells us at least one of the blocks being called as a subroutine is not available. Well, that's talking about our AG send. And you see, notice everything's in STL now because we compile a source. That's just a default. When you get done compiling a source, it's going to change everything into STL. We'll put everything back into ladder in a moment here. You see here we call our old FC5. It's not FC5 anymore. It's 2495. See, it found it. AG send. Save. Close. As I mentioned a moment ago, all our files are in STL now because we compiled a source. So what I like to do is I like to come back and change them all into ladder. You see this created in language. So we'll open them all up and put them in a ladder. It's a lot easier to view. Do it. If you select view, ladder, or control 1. I like doing control 1. We'll save. See, everything's in ladder now. I'll open all these. I'll press control 1 and I'll save to convert these into the ladder view. This next one's AG send. It's going to be system function in STL. We can ignore that one. So all of them are in ladder data blocks. UDTs and system functions are going to show as STL. So now we're ready to copy this with the new numbers into our target PLC. But first thing I always like to do is compile. see it found one error here. Take a look at that when this is done. It's an OB1. You see here in OB1, we don't need OB1. We weren't going to copy it over to our target PLC anyways, but you see we have this old FC1500, which we added 1,000 to all our block numbers, so it's now FC2500. We'll save it and recompile anyways. And there we have it, 0 errors, 0 warnings. It looks good. Now we're ready to copy all of our renumbered FIS logic into our target PLC. Just gonna copy it all. Again, we'll leave OB1 behind. Come into our target PLC here. Paste. System functions already exist. We don't need to override those. We'll just leave the system functions as they are. It's fine. There we go. Remember, we need to include a call to our FIS Manager FC, which is now 2500 in OB1. Or in this case, there's an MCP, so we'll put a call in the corresponding MCP. I'll add a call to right there. And the last thing I would do before I download these blocks to my PLC, so I would just do compile. The FIS blocks should compile fine because we just checked those. But if you're going to download any more blocks at the same time, I'd compile them all and make sure there's no errors on the blocks you're about to download so you don't fault your processor. And that's it. This concludes Lesson 3 on how to renumber these blocks for putting them in a PLC.